Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube, and what we're going to make are soft pretzels. This is a pretty easy recipe and it makes it a lot easier for me anyway because I use my bread maker or my bread machine. Now you can use this dough recipe and make it by hand if you want to, but I find using the bread maker on the dough cycle just comes out the better results. I don't have to really knead with my hands, that kind of thing. So it's quicker and it's easier for me, but feel free if you want to do the recipe by hand. I'm going to give you the recipe right off the bat so you can jot it down if you want to. Hopefully I'll go through clearly enough and slowly enough that you can get it, okay? All right, first up, and follow your bread maker's directions, because some bread makers or bread machines have you put the water in first, and they have a different way of putting the ingredients in, so do follow your directions, okay? You're going to need 4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1½ teaspoons of salt, a ½ teaspoon of granulated sugar, 2½ teaspoons of instant dry yeast, and I use just the packet, the 1 packet. 2 tablespoons. Now I used oil. Now you can use whatever type of oil that you prefer, or you could use butter if you want and melt it and cool it, or you could even use margarine if that's all that you have, or you like margarine over butter. I like to use the oil, but I have tried using it all of the 3 and I found out it really had good results, so it's going to be up to you. But on this recipe I did use oil, and that was 2 tablespoons. What you're going to need is also 1 cup of water, and I would suggest if you're using, especially your bread maker, add anywhere from 1 to 2 tablespoons extra of water to start it off. I found that it worked better for me when I added, the 1 cup to even 1½ tablespoons of water. You could go up to 2, but try to stay within 1 cup and 1½ tablespoons of water on it. Now I did heat my water in the microwave, so it's about 110 degrees Fahrenheit on that, and I also heated with my water was milk, and ½ cup of milk. I find if I heat my milk with the water, it's just a whole lot easier, and like I said, I just heat it in my microwave. Okay, now also for what they call at the bath, and I'll explain when we're going to do that, but you're going to need 4 cups of very, very hot water to boiling, and 3 tablespoons of baking soda, okay? But I'll explain that in a moment. All right, now what I have to show you here is half of the recipe. I went ahead and baked up the other half. Okay, it's kind of a sticky dough, yet it's pretty easy to work with. I try not to really use any flour because I don't want the pretzels to be real heavy, tough, or dense. You can put a little flour on your countertop or board, and I get 8 pretzels out of the recipe, and I'm going to just cut them into 4. Because as I said, this is half of the recipe. And then I do like to keep a scale nearby just to measure, because I want my pretzels all to be about the same weight and size. Okay, all right. And I generally make them about 3.4. Now you can, measure them up however that you want. That's 3.4. Okay. And I use the scale. You can eyeball it, but I prefer, like I said, I'm just kind of a stickler on exact amounts. Okay. So let's try and weigh this one here. It won't take but another second or so. Just take a little off here. Okay. All right, that's 3.4. Okay. And what happens is, now I'm coming up a little bit more, which is good, nothing wrong with that. My first batch must have been a little bit smaller. Okay. So like I said, you can make them whatever size that you want, but these are 3.4, okay? And instead of 4, I actually got 5 out of there, Okay. So then once you have that, then just start rolling them into a log or like a sausage. And you can see once you start working with this dough, it's quite elastic. It will work nicely with you, and it's not really sticky anymore. And I didn't have to use any flour, but feel free if you want to. Okay. Now I don't have the measurement on this, but just kind of guessing at it, I think it's probably about 18 inches or so. If you want the pretzels to have that the centers really open, try to make it as long as you can, where you're not making it too thin and too spindly, if you know what I mean. Okay. All right. And then I'm just going to take the dough and I'm going to cross it over like that. Whoops. I probably should have made that a little bit nicer. Sort of looks like a ribbon when I do them, like that. I mean, you can shape them however you want, and we'll do one more. Now, if you want the ribbon, I call it the ribbon, to be not as fat and wide, make this roll a lot longer. I just find that the longer I make it, then I get spots where it's too thick, it's too thin, that kind of thing. So I try not to make them too long, because I like the way that they come out and look. If you don't, then make sure to make your rope or your sausage size here longer. Okay? All right? Okay, and then I just cross one over like that, open up that center, which that one didn't come out very well. Okay, well, let's do another one. But you get the drift of it. I don't want to bore you with it too long here. Okay. What I also use this for, this dough, is I take a raw hot dog, believe it or not, and I wrap it around a hot dog and bake it in the oven. Oh, it is so delicious. So as the pretzel is baking, well, your hot dog is cooking along with it, okay? All right, so we'll put it like that, then we'll bring it down. There we go. I like that one a little bit better. And then just open it up with your fingertips and then lay it on parchment paper, okay? Now, what's going to happen next is this. Once you get all your pretzels on your parchment paper or your mat, your silicone mat, whatever you're using, go ahead and heat your water. By then it'll give it about maybe, 10 minutes or so, or 15 minutes for them just to rest. And I'm going to grab some hot water here. This is 4 cups. And then I put in 4 tablespoons of baking soda. Okay? You can see that fizz up, and then give it a stir. Now you'll have enough water and all that for the whole recipe. Now what you'll want to do is use a slotted spoon or a slotted spatula like I am, and I'm going to pick up this one and just lay it into the hot water for about 30 seconds on each side. Then when you're done with it, you're going to lay them back down onto your cookie tray or your baking tray or that kind of thing. All right, I don't have a timer on, but I'm sure that was about 30 seconds. And then just flip it over. Again, 30 seconds on each time for the water bath. All right. Now, I don't put an egg wash or an egg white wash over them. I'm going to take this out now. Okay, and it's hot, very hot water, so okay. I try to put the holes back in just a little bit like that, and we'll do another one here real quick. 30 seconds on each side. And while you're working with your dough, once you cut up your balls, put a towel over it so that the dough doesn't dry out for you. So use a clean kitchen towel and cover it up. And I'm going to flip this over. Okay. And then once I do that, all right. And again, this is boiling water. So, and place your, give your pretzels a little bit of spreading room. They're not going to really spread out that far, but you want to give them room, okay? Now, you're going to bake these anywhere from, you can go as low as 390 degrees to about 400. The average is about 400. And before you put them in the oven, after you put them up, now right now, because it came out of my bread machine, it went through its rising process, so I can immediately start to assemble my pretzels and put them down. If you're doing it by hand, you're going to have to wait for your dough to rise, double in size, okay? The next thing, because like I said, I don't use an egg wash or just egg white wash. You can if you want to. And then if you have kosher salt or regular table salt like I have, sprinkle on a little or as much as you like, okay? The kosher salt really looks better, but to be honest with you, I really like the table salt on it. I just can distribute it a little bit differently, but the kosher salt's gonna look nicer. So again, bake these anywhere from 390 to 400 degree oven, and they could take you anywhere from 5 minutes to 8 or 9 minutes depending on your oven, because all ovens set up so differently. But I actually start checking mine in within about 4 minutes. I just quickly open the oven, not too long, so that the heat gets out, and close it back up. Okay, so again, you can get about 8 good size pretzels out of this. I'm going to just rinse my hands here quickly, and then I'd like to show you what they look like once they bake up. And this is how they turn out. Now, you might find that the openings, the 2 holes, might close up on you. If you don't like that, again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, then make your log or the rod, whatever you want to call it, make it as long as possible, and that kind of can prevent that from happening a bit. But they bake up just beautiful. They really do. You'll have a nice, this is a hard finish on the top, and then also on the bottom. Let me show you this one. Okay, you'll have like anywhere from a light to a medium brown. Okay, so it'll have a nice crust on the top and the bottom. And I want to just, well, you know what, I'm not going to cut it open. I'm actually going to break it apart to show you. Oh my gosh, the inside, it is so light, but it's chewy, just like you'd want a soft pretzel to be. Okay, I don't know if you can see as I'm pressing down on it, okay, how moist and light it is. The crumb on it is, I would say, light to medium crumb. But again, you're going to have that nice chewy outside to the top and the bottom with your salted top, whether you use the kosher salt or the table salt. But when you bite into it, it'll have this wonderful chew to it. They're just delicious. They really are. And there's so many uses for this pretzel that you can bake with. And it'll just give you a beautiful inside, an interior. Again, I hate to tear these apart, but you can see it much better that way. But how light and chewy and light these pretzels are. They're absolutely delicious. And I'll be honest with you, in my house they don't last very long. In fact, people are eating them when they're warm to where they're almost too hot to eat. But you know, be careful not to burn your mouth either when you're eating them when they come out of the oven. But they are absolutely delicious. Okay, now if you try this recipe and you liked it, I'd love to hear from you. So please write to me. You know, I only put my videos on YouTube, but if you write to me on YouTube, I'll get your comment, I'll get your question, and I'll do my best to answer in a timely fashion. And if you're so inclined, you'd like to subscribe to my channel, well, I can't thank you enough, or ring the bell. So that's it for me today. Give this soft pretzel recipe a try. I think you're going to like it. It's not that difficult to make, and if you have a bread maker or a bread machine, it makes it that much faster for you. And I hope you give it a try because I think it's a good one. So I want to thank you for watching Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. Stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.